A June Supreme Court decision paved the way for relaxed restrictions on handgun permits in Maryland. You no longer need what is considered a good and substantial reason to apply for a concealed carry permit. What you do need, though, is firearms training. The Maryland Concealed Carry course is one of many courses that are offered by U.S. Tactical American Security Consulting. And with us this afternoon is Evan Abnett. Mr. Abnett is the Chief of Operations at U.S.T.A.S.C. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Been lots of questions come up after the restrictions were relaxed a little bit in Maryland and some other states. Has it changed interest in the people taking the courses from you?
Oh yeah, we've had a massive increase in bookings in terms of people that are trying to obtain not only their Maryland but also their Florida out-of-state permit, which is good in multiple states,
right.
As well as their Maryland HQL. So we've had a large increase in bookings recently.
So firearms training is just one of the courses you teach?
That's correct, yeah. So we teach everything from tactical pistol to basic firearms training to handgun permit training, tactical rifle, tactical shotgun. But our main emphasis is on teaching handgun permit training and basically not only the basics of how to handle your firearm, but also how to react under stressful situations during that time, and what to do before and after that,
right.
As well as how to shoot from cover and concealment and so on and so forth. So to protect yourself and protect your family or your business from an aggressor.
And I want to delve into that a little further with you here in just a little bit. First off, let me ask, your instructors, they are all current or former police officers?
That's correct. Yep, they're all current or former police officers or law enforcement. We feel it's important that you get a former local law enforcement officer or current local law enforcement officer that's licensed to teach in the state of Maryland civilians in order to teach that course, because they're going to know from the street level what the gun laws are.
So in your opinion, what they bring to the table is
direct knowledge of firearms laws and how to wear and carry your firearm legally and lawfully, and what happens before and after a defensive shooting.
Here.
Correct.
They know it here.
Correct.
Locally.
Correct.
Do you spend time on the range?
We do. So we spend probably half the time on the range and half the time in the classroom, and that's also important. So getting out there shooting, 250, 300 rounds during a class is important, than rather just the 25 rounds that's necessary to qualify. Because bear in mind, you really have to know how to shoot accurately and lawfully and under stress, right? Because the situation is going to be stressful, obviously, and how your body reacts to that stress is going to definitely change the way you shoot and the way you respond to those situations.
Do you think most people have some misconceptions about citizens who carry firearms?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the general misconception is that people that carry firearms or have gun permits might be aggressive in nature or somehow a hazard to the other general public, and I think that's totally incorrect. I think the people that actually undergo handgun training want to learn how to carry a gun lawfully and how to defend themselves appropriately or defend their family appropriately and lawfully, and want to do it safely.
You have mentioned frequently lawfully.
Sure.
Staying within the law. And I want to delve into that just a little bit deeper with you. We're out of time right now, but can you hang around a second?
Absolutely.
And we'd like to come back to, okay, we're going to come back and talk to Evan Abnett again a little bit more about the legal aspect of your firearms, or using firearms in your personal protection. Now, Delmarva Life will be right back. We're back with Evan Abnett, Chief of Operations for U.S. Tactical American Security Consulting, and we're going to talk a little bit about gun law. Let me just start with one of the basics. You get your concealed carry permit. Are you required to tell a police officer, if you, like for a traffic stop or something like that, are you required to tell the police officer that you're carrying?
So that's an interesting question. In the state of Maryland, you are not. However, what we recommend is that when the police officer approaches, and a lot of police officers do what's called passenger side approach, that obviously you don't panic the police officer by having your gun displayed, okay, initially. So you should probably, and any time you walk around with it, it should be concealed, right? So it should be concealed. What we generally recommend is that you take your driver's license out, you take your handgun permit out, okay, you keep your hands visible, okay, and you hand both your handgun permit and your driver's license to the police officer, and you tell the police officer, hey, just to let you know, just for your safety and mine, I have a handgun permit in the state of Maryland, and I'm carrying a weapon. Okay. So that's an easy way to
initiate the discussion.
Initiate the discussion and keep the stress to a minimum for you and the police officer.
Okay. So let's say, and again, I've got my permit. I'm taking the wife out to dinner at a restaurant.
Sure.
And I've got it concealed, but someone happens to see it. Is that an issue?
It is not lawfully. I mean, one thing we want to bear in mind is we don't want to cause an unreasonable apprehension to the general public.
Right.
So we want to keep that firearm as concealed as possible. And it's not to say you have to wear an overcoat, you know, a loose polo shirt or something of that nature, so it's not going to create that unreasonable apprehension to the public.
Sport jacket is okay.
Sure, absolutely. And I mean, you know, worst comes to worst, the police show up for some reason, and you again, give them your firearms permit, and
right.
Just don't make any. Just like you would do in a car, don't do anything silly, don't make any sudden movements or jump out or get out of your car and approach the police officer, obviously.
Right.
Just stay relaxed and calm, and more than likely so will the police officer.
You're not doing anything wrong, so just act that way.
Exactly.
There are still some places I can't go even with a permit, right?
Sure, so that's correct. So like public school property, it's not allowed. Government buildings, like courthouses, certainly you can't go in with a handgun permit unless you're an active police officer or something of that nature. And private enterprise that is telling you not to enter their property with a handgun permit, you should abide by their request. Mm-hmm. So any place that specifies that there's no handguns allowed onto the property, then you don't want to go. And certainly, you don't want to take your gun into alcohol establishments and stuff like that, because you can't ingest alcohol while with your handgun permit or wearing your handgun.
Okay. So let's say worst comes to worst. Mm-hmm. I'm involved in a self-defense situation where I've had to use my firearm.
Sure.
It's all said and done. It's all taken care of. It's finished.
Mm-hmm.
What can I expect then?
Obviously, the police are going to respond. Okay. You want to either secure your firearm if there's no longer an active threat. Mm-hmm. Okay. Keep your hands visible. The police officers are obviously or may put you in a submission position at gunpoint, okay, in order to secure you before they find out what's going on. Just comply with anything the police officers tell you to do. Then you can volunteer your handgun permit to the police officers, and eventually, they're going to ask you what happened, and it's always a good idea when that occurs to have your attorney present.
Yeah. Okay. Evan Avnet, thank you so much. The founder of and the Chief of Operations for U.S. Tactical American Security Consulting. Very informative.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much
Glad
for your
to be
time.
here,
We appreciate that.